Hello students, welcome to the world of chemistry in class 9th. In the previous class, we have started our first chapter, that is matter in our surroundings. In that chapter, we have seen what is meant by matter and what are its characteristics or the properties based on its physical nature. In our previous class, we have seen that matter is anything which occupies space and has mass, and we have also classified matter on the basis of the physical as well as chemical composition. We have also seen the characteristic properties of matter based on its physical nature, that matter is made up of particles. The particles of matter are very tiny, the particles of matter have space between them, the particles of matter are continuously moving, and the particles of matter attract each other. We have understood these properties, these characteristics based on various activities. So these are the activities based on which we have understood the characteristic properties of matter. Now, today in this class, we will understand about the states of matter. We have seen that based on the physical nature, the matter can be classified into solid, liquid and gas. So the form in which the matter, the anything exists, that is called its state. So generally we see around us many things of different shapes and size and textures. Now these things can be in different forms, like we see a ball, we see a stone, we see water, liquids, we feel the gases also. These things, these matter exist in different states, that is solid, liquid and gas. These states of matter are there, they arise due to the difference, that is the variation in the characteristics of the particles of matter. The particles of matter are different in different objects, their arrangement is different, the forces of which are there in the matter between the particles are also different, and that is why the things exist in different forms, different state. At present in class 9, we are having solid, liquid and gas as the three important states of matter. But there are two more states, which are Bose-Einstein state and the plasma state, about which we will learn in the further classes. Now, first of all, let us discuss about the solid state. We see around us many things like a pen, a book, a needle, a piece of wooden stick, a window, a door. All these things are solid in nature. Now, we can observe that all these have a definite shape, they have distinct boundaries. Distinct boundaries means one thing is separated from the other solid thing, so they have specific boundary, they have a specific limit. Till there we can call it as a pen or a door or a window or a book. It is not continuous. They have fixed volume also, it means they occupies a specific shape, they occupies some space also, definite space, and they have negligible compressibility. Compressible means when we apply force, their shape may change, so they have negligible compressibility. They have the tendency to maintain their shape when subjected to outside force. So when the outside force is applied on them, they have the capacity to retain their shape. When we apply more force, the solids may break, but it is difficult to change their shape, so they are called rigid. So if we see the properties in this slide, I have shown the properties of solids. So we can say that solids have definite shape and fixed volume. Their shape is fixed. Today the shape of our book is this, and when tomorrow when we wake up the shape of the book has changed. It is not possible. So their shape is fixed and they have fixed volume. They occupy a fixed space, fixed volume. And the space, very important property, is the space between the particles of solid is minimum. Here the enlarged image of the arrangement of particles is shown. So here we can see that the particles are arranged very close to each other. So the space between the particles is minimum, but the force of attraction between the particles is maximum. And as the force of attraction between the particles is maximum, if they want to vibrate, if they want to move, they cannot, because the force of attraction is higher. So the movement of particles is minimum because of the force of attraction is maximum. They are least compressible, they cannot be compressed, and the rate of diffusion is least. When we put a solid into a glass of water, and in the another glass of water we put ink, which is liquid in nature, we know that ink will diffuse faster with compared to a solid object. So the rate of diffusion, rate means speed, the rate of diffusion is least, it is the minimum one. So these are the properties of solids. If anything, any object is following these properties, these characteristics, then we can say that that particular object is solid. So based on this property we can identify a solid. Now after understanding the properties of solid, let us consider the following examples. What about a rubber band? Can it change its shape on stretching? If we stretch a rubber band, its shape changes. So can we consider it as a solid? Think about it. A rubber band changes its shape under the force, and when we leave it, it means when the force is removed, it regains its shape. So if the excessive force is applied, the rubber band may break also. So here the shape of the rubber band is changing and it is regaining under the influence of the force applied. It can be considered as a solid object, but the force of attraction between the particles can be minimized, can be changed based on the force applied. But of course it is a solid object, because when we don't touch, when we don't apply force, it has a specific shape and it occupies specific space. That is why it can be considered as a solid object. Second option, we know, we have seen the sugar and the salt molecules, the salt crystals of the salt and sugar. When we have kept in different jars, they take the shape of the jar. So are they considered as a solid objects? Because we know that liquids and gases take the shape of the container, solids do not. Here the crystals of sugar and salt, they take the shape of the container. So can they be considered as solid? Think over it. Now we know that the shape of each individual, if you see, if you just take a one individual piece of sugar or salt, it has a fixed shape. You know that sugar crystal has a shape of cube or cuboid. So that particular shape is fixed for that. So the shape of individual, each individual sugar or salt crystal is fixed. whether we put it in a plate, whether we put it in a jar, or we put it in a hand. But as the shape is, their size is small, so combinedly they take the shape of the jar. But individually, if we talk, then they have a specific shape, and that is why they are considered as solid only. Now the third scenario, all of you are aware of the sponge. It can be pressed. What about a sponge? It is a solid, but we are able to compress it. Why? If we are able to compress it, then how it is a solid? That we have to think over it. Yes, of course, a sponge is a solid. It has a specific shape and it occupies specific volume also. But a sponge has minute holes on its surface. All of you have seen that holes on the surface of the sponge, in which the air is trapped. Air is present inside the sponge. When we apply pressure, when we compress it, when we press it, the air which is present in the sponge comes out and we are able to compress it, and that is why the space occupied by that air goes away, and that is why it is compressible. But yet sponge is also a solid object. So based on the properties which we have seen earlier of the solid, a solid object had that particular properties, but under certain circumstances specific solid objects are also there, like rubber band, sugar, salt, and the sponge. Now let us see about the liquids. We see around us water, cooking oil, milk, juice, cold drink, filled in different containers, in smaller or the bigger ones. What will happen if this oil or water or juice falls on the floor? If a sugar or salt or a book falls on the floor, it will remain as it is. But if this liquid fall on the floor, they will start to flow. So they are considered as fluids. If we transfer the water from a beaker to a conical flask, then water will take the shape of the conical flask from cylindrical to the conical one. So its shape has changed. So here we can say that the liquids have no fixed shape, but they have a fixed volume. We can measure their volume. Yes, this is 50 ml of water or 50 ml of oil or 100 ml of juice. We can measure their volume. So liquids do not have definite shape, but they have fixed volume, and they take the shape of the container in which they are filled. The space between the particles is intermediate. Intermediate means, here if you see in the zoom diagram of the liquid, we can see that the space between the particles of liquid are somewhat more than that of the solid. So space between the particles is intermediate, because the force of attraction between the particles is also intermediate. It is somewhat less than what is present in solid. So the force of, as the force of attraction decreases here, the space somewhat increases, and because of the less force of attraction, the particles of the liquid can move. The movement of particles is intermediate, and that is why the liquids can flow. So liquids can flow and they can change shape. So they cannot be considered as rigid, but they are called fluid. Solids are rigid because they don't change their shape, but liquids can flow, so they are considered as fluid. In the previous class, we have also seen that solids and liquids can diffuse into liquid. If we put a ink into water, it will start diffuse. It will start spreading. So liquids can diffuse into the liquids. Same way, the gas from the atmosphere can also diffuse and dissolve in water. The gases which are present in the atmosphere like oxygen, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, argon and other gases can diffuse easily in the water. So gases have also property of diffusion into liquids. Especially the oxygen and the carbon dioxide, which are essential for the survival of aquatic animals and plants. They use this dissolved oxygen for their survival. The oxygen which is present in the atmosphere gets diffused into the sea water or the river or any of the water bodies. The aquatic plants and animals which are present inside it, they take up this dissolved oxygen through a specific system. Animals have gills, plants also take the dissolved oxygen for their survival. So this dissolved diffusion process is very important for the aquatic life also. So we can conclude that solid, liquid and gas can diffuse into liquids, but their rate of diffusion is different. The rate of diffusion of liquid is higher than that of solid. It means the liquid can diffuse easily into the liquid with compared to solid. Liquids are less compressible. Solids were not compressible, but liquids are less compressible. We cannot compress them. To a little bit of extent, we can just compress it. You might have seen a plastic bottle filled with water. You can press it, you can compress it. So they are little bit of compressible. But if the same bottle is containing the ice, we cannot compress it. So in this way, liquids are little bit of compressible. As we have seen, the rate of diffusion of liquids is more than solids. The reason behind this is that in liquid state the particles can move freely because of the less force of attraction between them and have greater space between each as compared to the particles of solid. So liquids can move freely, and that is why if the movement is free, they can diffuse very easily. Now let us see the properties of gases. All of you might have seen a balloon seller filling a large number of balloons from a single cylinder of gas. From a single cylinder, he is filling up the balloons, filling up the balloons, filling up the balloons. Now, if we ask him that how many balloons he is able to fill from one cylinder, he will tell that minimum nearly 80 to 100 balloons can be filled from a small cylinder of gas. This is very interesting property of gases. So we can say that gases have no definite shape or fixed volume, and gases occupy the whole space of the container. For understanding this, let us see one very important object. This is the diagram of a syringe. All of you might have seen this syringe. The upper part of the syringe, which can be separated, is called piston, which is put inside the body of the main body of the syringe. Now if we take three different syringes of the same size with same diameter, and we will take out the piston of all the three. In the first syringe we will put some chalk powder. We will fill half of it with the chalk powder. In the second one we will fill it with water, and in the third one we will not fill anything, we will just put it as it is. Then we will put the piston in all the three of them. If we try to compress all the three one by one, we can see that we can compress the syringe filled with gas to a large extent. With water little bit, but the one which is filled with chalk powder cannot be compressed. Here the syringe which is filled with gas, as shown in the diagram, we have put a rubber cork in at the end of all the three syringes, so the chalk powder or the liquid or the gas cannot come out. The one which is filled with the gas can be compressed to a greater extent. This shows that gases are highly compressible as compared to solids and liquids. So, if we see the properties of gas, we have seen that gases have no definite shape or no fixed volume. They take the shape of the container in which they are filled, and gases occupy the whole space of the container available. A small amount of gas which is filled in the cylinder can spread in the whole room also, and the gas which is filled in the whole room can be compressed and filled in the cylinder also. So they occupy the whole space of the container in which they are filled. The space between the particles is maximum. Here in the enlarged image of the balloon, we can see that the space between the gaseous molecules is very large, because the force of attraction between the particles is minimum, and that's why they are able to move here and there very easily, very freely. As the force of attraction between the particles is minimum with compared to solid and liquid, they are able to move here and there, so their movement is maximum and the space between them is also maximum. They are the most compressible state of the matter with compared to solid and liquid, as we have seen in the previous activity. The rate of diffusion is more than solid and liquid, as we have seen that oxygen and carbon dioxide diffuse easily in water with compared to solid and liquid. So we can say that the rate of diffusion of gases is much more faster than that of solids and liquids. If we take another example, at our home at present, the red colored gas cylinders are coming. These gas cylinders are filled with LPG, whose full form is liquefied petroleum gas. The petroleum which is obtained from the earth's crust, about which you have studied in class 8, that petroleum, based on fractional distillation, one of the product is petroleum gas. This petroleum gas, being gaseous in nature, is compressed and converted into liquid state and filled in the cylinders which come at our home. So this LPG cylinder which we use for cooking are compressed under high pressure and converted into liquid. So gases can be converted into liquid under high pressure. Same way, we are using CNG in our vehicles. The full form of CNG is compressed natural gas. Compressed natural. This natural gas is available in the oil wells. In the Middle East countries which are having so many oil wells, the gas which is present over the oil, that is called natural gas, and when this natural gas is compressed, it is called CNG, compressed natural gas. It is used as fuel in vehicles. Due to their high compressibility, a large volume of gas can be compressed into a small cylinder and transported easily. Because the CNG and LPG are highly compressible, so a large volume of gas is filled inside the cylinder and transported from one place to another. Now, when we join this red cylinder with the stove, the gas starts coming out. Actually, what happens when we open the nozzle, the pressure is released and the LPG which is converted, the petroleum gas which is converted into the liquid state, now because of the release of the pressure, they again comes back in the form of gas and it comes out through the holes of the stove or the gas stove, we can simply say. This LPG is completely odorless. Odor means ODOUR, odor, smell. It does not have any smell, so it is smellless. That is why when it is leaking, we will not be able to identify that it is leaking and it may cause a big explosion. But we know that whenever LPG is, the knob of the gas is on, we can easily smell that gas. The what will be this smell? In order to detect the leakage of the LPG, one substance called ethyl mercaptan is mixed with the LPG in the cylinders, and that bad smell is of ethyl mercaptan. That is why we are able to detect it. Now, how does this smell reaches to our nose? We are sitting in one room and immediately if we smell, we will run that yes, the knob of the gas is open, so let us close it. Now, how this smell has reached to our nose? The particles of the smell, the particles of the gas, which, whether it is a good or the bad one, whether it is the smell of the good food which is on the dining table or the bad smell of this leaking gas, it mixes with the particles of the air and spread from the kitchen and reach us and even farther away also. If we are sitting in another room, we can smell the bad smell of this LPG or the good smell of the food, the aroma of the food. The smell of the hot cooked food reaches us in seconds with compared to the rate of diffusion of solids and liquids. When the food is hot, because of the kinetic energy of the molecules of it, it reaches faster to our nose with compared to the cold food. Due to the high speed of the particles and large space between them, gases show the property of diffusing very faster into other gases. Now in this slide, I have shown the properties of solid, liquid and gas. The arrangement of the particles, the distance between the particles and their movement. All these three have been shown very clearly through three different diagrams. In gaseous state, the particles move about randomly at high speed, and due to this random movement, as you can see in the first diagram, in this first diagram, the particles of the gas can move at a very high speed, and because of this random movement, the particles hit each other and also to the walls of the container. The pressure exerted by the gas is because of this force exerted by the gas particles on the walls of the container. So, when these gas particles are moving with high speed, they exert the force on the walls of the container also. So, in this class, we have studied about different states of matter, that is solid, liquid and gas, and the characteristics, property of different states, solid, liquid, and how they behave, and how we can identify that a particular thing is a solid, liquid or gas based on its characteristics. Thank you all.